Australia's long forest.
In a survival situation, one of the first things you need to do is find your bearings. One of the best ways to do this is get up high and look for water. Where there's water, there is usually civilization, and when there's civilization, there's always rescue.
Right, we've got a bit of a sheer drop off down here. That'd be about 20 foot or so. If you fell down there, you'd break your leg, and that's where people go wrong. So I can see over there, seems to be a bit of a clearing, and down there there's a gorge, and where there's a gorge there's usually water, and where there's water there's usually civilization. That's where I'm heading. That's where I'm heading. Now when you're up at such a high point, I need to get down there because that's where the track keeps going. Got some rope, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw it down there. That's where I'm going down. Now it's a bit windy and I don't really want to be doing rock climbing in the wind. But what I'm going to do is I've got this stump here. I'm going to wrap my rope around the very base where it's a lot stronger. Right, so it's actually wrapped around too. And then I'm just going to do a simple reef knot. Left over right and under, right over left and under. When you haven't got all the rock climbing apparel that you need, like the harnesses and stuff, you just do a simple body harness, which is around the leg and over the opposite shoulder. And that way, you should be fine to have that. Right, now as long as you keep the tension on, you should be fine. And it shouldn't be too dangerous. Oh. Alright. Now the worst thing you want is to get entangled in your pocket. Now, when rock climbing, it's also really easy to pick a different route. Oh, slipped a bit there. And there we go. Right, when you're in a survival situation and you haven't got a knife or any sharp object, you can actually make one just using nature. And you need certain types of rocks, so it won't work with like quartz for instance, but the chalky sort of rocks, it's really good. You get a nice one with a flat edge, and all you're really got to do is get another one, bash them together, and you actually get quite a few options with knives, and you know, you get some with some really nice sharp edges, and you can actually use them to cut things, and they'll tear through flesh and cloth quite easily.
In a survival situation, you should always be on the lookout for food. It's a good idea to eat small amounts and eat frequently. Dry riverbeds can be an excellent food source.
Another good thing is because it's so moist, there's actually a lot of bugs you can find here, and there's a worm. Now, these are actually really high in protein, and pound for pound, insects contain more protein than red meat. This guy's going to go down well. When you're walking along, it's always good to keep an eye out on the footprints. These are my tracks here. They're going that way. But you can tell that this would be a dog or a fox, because if it was a cat, you wouldn't see the claws, you'd only just see the pads, because they've got the retractable paws.
Animal tracks can be a telltale sign of food and water sources. You can tell how old they are by the standard function. Alright, now when you're in a survival situation,
it's always good to keep an eye out for natural shelters so you don't have to build your own. Just over there, there's an overhanging rock. I reckon I can turn that into a really good shelter, and that'll be where we camp for the night. Now it's always good to find natural shelters, and I found an overhanging rock, and this will make quite an adequate shelter. All you've got to do is clear out all these rocks, which will make it quite uncomfortable. And what you want to do now is get a stick or something and just clear out all these leaves, because you don't want any spiders and scorpions snuggling up with you when you're trying to get some sleep. Because in any situation, particularly a survival situation, sleep is one thing you don't want to lose. And just crawl into here, be careful of spiders. And this will make quite a nice little shelter. Now I don't really need to do this, but I'm just giving you a demonstration. If ever you need to get up a tree and it's got a straight trunk like this with no branches, a good way to do it is to just make a rope ladder. And one way to do that is make numerous loops such as this in a rope and tie it up to an upper branch. And a simple granny knot followed by a fishing knot is usually a good way to go by making loops. And then you just swing it around like that. And there you have it, a good loop. And all you're going to do is get one foot in there, and then you're all good to start your climb. Now, I haven't quite done it very well, and that's what you want to do. Cut. Now in dry riverbeds where there's a lot of rocks, under the rocks it's usually really moist, and you can't really get much water out of it, but there's always some really good food options. So under rocks like this there's actually some good worms, and it's actually a pile of them. And you want to, in survival situations, you want to eat little amounts and eat frequently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eat a couple now, and then I'm going to save them for later. Bit gritty. They go down easy, I'll tell you what. Now, I've got these guys and I'm going to save them for later. They're going to be a nice little snack for later. In a survival situation, your main priorities should be water, food, and shelter. If you have those three things, then you will survive.
God, his breath smells like animal poop.